And now it's time for the interview of an interesting person. Today's guest is going to be so much fun. Today we have the one, the only, the amazing Kaylee Keller.
What an introduction. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And Kaylee is an award-winning Nashville recording artist, and she's an actress as well.
Yes, I enjoy music and acting for sure.
Oh, yeah. So first off, how are you enjoying being on the show?
Well, I am really enjoying this show. I really love how you're already working on your passions at such a young age. And I think people who get to watch this show, you're going to inspire them all over the world. I think it's great.
Okay, so I have to ask. It says that you are listed as an independent recording artist. How is that different from just a recording artist?
Okay, so that's a really great question. So a recording artist means that I perform and release my own music. So when you put independent in front of that, it means that I am not under a contract with a record label. Therefore, I own and release my very own music. Does that make
Cool.
sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Okay,
So,
good.
how did you get started in being a recording artist? Did you just start to sing and someone noticed you?
Um, in a way, yeah. So growing up, I was always performing and doing showcases and talent shows and contests and stuff, even as young as your age, actually, all the way up. And then when I was about 14, I went to this showcase with this organization called AMTC. They actually no longer exist anymore. Which is sad because they were great. But I went through there, and then from there on, God really just opened many doors for me, and I was able to do acting stuff and singing stuff. And then I had a development deal and some label interest for a while. So it really just took me on a journey from then on.
Wow. So, how long have you been doing this?
That's a great question. So I've been performing since I was about 5 or 6 years old. My mom actually told me when I was a baby, she used to sing lullabies to me, and it was before I could talk, and I would actually hum back to her before I could even speak. So I've always loved to sing. But as far as being in the industry and making my own music, I started when I was about 15, and I've been doing it since. So it's about 9 years.
Wow. So, how did you know that this was the go to job for you?
Hmm. Well, I think, God just made me with this passion of singing. And I knew it when I was really little because I would sing everywhere and I always loved to sing. But when I was about 6, my mom showed me some Shirley Temple movies. Are you familiar with Shirley Temple? You might not have heard of her.
I'm familiar with the drink.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's fair. So Shirley Temple, she's passed now, and she's way before both of our times, but she was an incredible performer. And so my mom showed me some of her movies when I was a little girl, and I realized watching her that I could actually have a career singing and acting and making movies and performing. And I knew I was going to grow up and do what Shirley Temple did.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
how is being a recording artist benefit to the world?
Mm, that's a good question. I think it's beneficial because I get to make music for people all around the world to listen to. And music itself is very influential on a person. And music is played everywhere from stores to games to at home. People play music all the time. And so I feel like I get to make music that can really affect somebody's life. Sometimes it's the way they have an outlook on life. Sometimes it's their feelings. And sometimes it's the view of themselves. Like if you listen to a song and you're kind of in a down mood, it could really lift your spirit and really make you feel confident. And so for me, good and uplifting and inspirational music can help someone through hard times, sad times, through their self-worth, things like that. And I just think that's very beneficial to the world.
Mm-hmm. So, it says in your bio that your music is a beautiful light of self confidence and self love. Do you write all your own music?
So I do write my own music. Sometimes it's totally on my own, like it's just me writing. And then sometimes I'll write with my mom. And then sometimes I actually write with co-writers. But I'm always a part of the songwriting and the creation process.
Mm. That makes sense. That way you're comfortable with the words and stuff.
Yeah, and it's
That makes
important to
sense.
me that my songs, are something that I would truly say and something that I want people to hear because it is beneficial to the world to hear a really good song. So it's very important to me to be a part of that process.
Okay. So where did you get the ideas of what to write about?
Ooh, okay. Well, inspiration to me, it kind of comes randomly and unexpected. So sometimes I'll just write how I feel, like if I'm having a good day or a hard day. Sometimes I write through something I'm going through, whether it be with a relationship in my family or with somebody. And then sometimes I just get inspired by looking around at creation and writing what comes to mind. It just, you never know. Sometimes you can't write for a couple weeks, nothing will come to you. And then sometimes you'll read a funny sign at a coffee shop, and next thing you know, you have a whole song written.
Wow. So what was the one thing that you learned about yourself while you were performing and writing songs?
What was the one thing I learned about myself? I think this is something I learned while I was writing songs, but also performing. And I learned that it's more important to be a good person and to be good to people than to be a good writer or a good performer. And I say that because, like, I don't know, I've done a lot of shows where I've seen different artists on stage and they're so good and their songs are so good and they have a great show. But when they get off stage, they treat the tech crew really unkindly, or their family or their fans or people there, they're just not nice to them. And I think for me, I've always realized that, and I think this is true like in life, that what matters most is how you treat people. So like your character, that matters the most in life over what you do, because you can be good at something, but if you treat people really bad and unkind, it doesn't matter that you're good at those things. You're really not that good at it. So I think it's, for me, that's something that I've learned, is it really matters to really be kind to everybody helping with the show and helping with the song and being a part of something.
So what's the best part about being a country superstar?
Well, I think the best thing is being able to help other people with music and with what I share. And so it's fun because you can literally see somebody, like, they'll come to a show and maybe I sang a song and they got really joyful and excited about it. And then I shared something about the song, or maybe why I wrote it and something that was like, hitting home for me. And then to see them come up to me after a show and say, like, that song helped me through a grieving season, or that song really gave me encouragement when I was really sad, or really lifted me up when I was down. I think for me, that's the best part, is being able to really impact people's lives.
Now, I will be honest, I'm not really a big country music fan, but I do
What?
enjoy watching your videos.
What?
So, do you think videos help me make some songs better for the listener?
Yeah, I do think videos make a song better for a listener, because personally, I love the visual of something artistic and a storyline. So I think when you have really a good song and you have a really good video, maybe the video's inspirational, or maybe it's you see somebody go through a struggle or whatever. I think it can be very powerful, and it can really make the song hit home a little bit more, kind of come to life. So I think video is very important.
So, what is the hardest part about being a country superstar?
Hardest part. I see this a lot in the industry, and I think it's something people do in general. But I think the hardest part is comparison. And I think that a lot of the times artists, and we do this in general, but especially in music, a lot of artists compare themselves to one another. And it's really easy to kind of like be like, oh, they were so good, how am I going to do? Or they sound so much better, they play so much better than me. And it's really easy to get yourself kind of insecure or worked up. And I think that that's the hardest part, is there's so many really talented people at it. But the word of God says that he made us all for a purpose, and that we don't have to compete with one another, and that there's room for all of us.
Competing from the first place.
You shouldn't even be competing from the
Why?
first place. I think it's just a natural thing people can do sometimes. And that's the thing, is like, why? Because every single person is made very unique with their own gifting, and nothing's very comparable. So I think as far as the industry goes, there's a lot of competition in it, but I don't think it's necessary at all. And I think you have to catch it anytime you kind of start to wonder and do that.
Because everyone who's like being a singer-songwriter, like, they're just saying like, I am the best. I am better than these people. It's not always a competition.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times people think the best singer-songwriters are who quote unquote make it. Like, the famous people, you would say, are just the best at it. And a lot of times that's not true. There's just so many gifted people, and everyone has a different journey. So,
Well, what is the one thing that would make your job easier?
well, right now, because sadly COVID has been such an issue the last couple of years, there's so many mandates for travel and for shows and venues. So for me, COVID totally leaving would make everyone's lives easier, but also just removing the travel mandates and the show mandates and stuff would make performing and making music much easier right now.
Like, if we make COVID go away, but if we can like shove, like video conference for school,
Oh yeah.
it would make it so much better.
It would definitely make it so much better.
So what advice would you give my listeners if they wanted to grow up and be a recording artist?
Well, I would say you have to make sure that you do it for a purpose. And I think a lot of people, when they think of music, kind of have this idea of fame and money and red carpets and TV show appearances, and they really like that kind of view of like, oh, I'll be famous and everyone will know my name. And really, the advice that I would give is don't make your passion about chasing fame or success. Though it's good to be successful, don't make that your only goal. You need to find your purpose in it. And for me, my purpose, like I said, is serving other people with my music and helping them go through something and relating to them and inspiring them. And that's very purposeful for me. So on those really hard days or on those really good days, that's what drives me, is the purpose that I have and not just the idolization behind it all.
So I'm on a radio show and podcast that talks about God during my Line Strong segment. How do you include God's message in your work?
That's a really great question. Well, I'm a Christian, and God is the foundation of my life, and the Word of God is the belief system in which I live off of. And so I feel like when you believe in the Lord, everything you do reflects Him. And so for me, I find, as far as kind of the message, a lot of the times it's hidden in my music. Like, I have a song called Diamond, and it's all about your worth and your purpose. And I have songs about kind of having worth and kind of overcoming situations. And to me, that's kind of a way that I write about His principles. And then when I like speak at schools or venues or gatherings and stuff, I'll just share my story and how I came to know the Lord and just kind of my personal story, really.
Wow. What was the first job that you ever had?
This is a great question. The first job I ever had was I worked for my parents' company, and I shredded paper. And my parents had boxes and boxes and boxes of just paperwork I had to shred. And so I would sit with two huge commercial shredders for like 6 to 8 hours. That's all that I did. I just sit there and shred paper for hours. And I would listen to music on the radio and just shred and shred and shred. And so I did that for like 2 years, probably on and off, like a summer or a school season or something. But I shredded a lot of paper.
Did you earn money?
I did, yeah. I earned money per box. So it took they were big boxes too. But it was I got to learn a lot of music.
Per box?
Oh, I think it was like $5 a box. And then the boxes were so huge, they'd be like 15 bags is what they would total to. And so I convinced my dad to give me more than $5 a box. I was able to convince him to give me like $5 a bag, which would take me like 5-6 hours. So it's very, under minimum wage. But it was good cash money. I appreciated it.
Oh, yeah. So was there anything you learned from that job that helped you be a better singer/songwriter?
Yeah, I think so. I got to sing a lot when I was shredding paper. and I got to learn a lot of music. So like if I had a show coming up, because I was doing some performances at the time too. So I would just turn on my music and I would memorize all the words to my songs and practice singing. So it worked out. So it was, you can sing and do a lot of activity, which is great. So I sang a lot and learned a lot of music.
So what's the craziest thing that has happened while you were doing your passion?
Ooh, so this is like crazy in a good way. When I was in middle school, I used to listen to this album all the time. And it was by Addison Road, and I just loved the song. I'd play it on repeat. And then I also listened to the artist Josh Wilson. It was like Addison Road and Josh Wilson were like, I'd listen to them all the time after school and really was encouraged by their music. And then several years later, when I'm in the industry and I'm recording and stuff, I happened to be able to record and write with my Diamond album with the very same person who helped co-write and produce the album that I listened to in middle school. And then a couple years ago, actually, it was really cool. I got to open for Josh Wilson. And so it was these very full circle moments where I remember being in middle school in class, dreaming about what life would be like outside of school. And then I finally have one, and it was like very much kind of a full circle moment where I was like, I was listening to this in class. How cool is this? So God is very faithful.
So what was the biggest mistake you ever made, and how did it change you as a person?
Oh, man, the biggest mistake. So I've made a lot of mistakes. I think everyone does.
Biggest.
It's part of it. The biggest one. Well, as far as music goes, I remember I had a performance and I was singing the national anthem. And it's a hard song to sing a cappella because of the range. And I was a little bit younger and I ended up getting really sick like right before I performed it. I had like a head cold and stuff. And I remember I performed it and I messed up so bad because I was sick and I couldn't hear the notes. And I ruined it. It was so awful. And I don't even say that lightly. Like it was truly an awful rendition of the national anthem. And it was at this big event. I was opening for like a big music person at the time. And I remember I walked off and I was so embarrassed. And, I knew people there and I was just so ashamed. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not good. And you start to, get really hard on yourself and tear up. And I just wanted to go home. And my mom pulled me to the side, and this was so sweet, but she told me, look, God says that you're valuable and you're loved no matter what. And if you sing really great or you sing really bad, that doesn't change who you are to him. And that doesn't change who you are. And you have to embrace that every person makes a mistake. And the best thing that you can do is own your mistake and say, you know what, I messed up. And that's okay because everyone messes up. And next time I'm going to try my best not to. But if you mess up, not to hide out and like disassociate your passion and like get really hard on yourself, but realize that you're still loved, that you're still cared for. Everyone messes up. It's okay. Life moves on and move on. And so that was one of those times I really had to like apply that.
Okay. Now can you tell me that one story? Remember, this is a kid show, but that one story, well, that you're not supposed to tell me about. Come on, give me information.
Well, I guess this one's just more embarrassing about me than anything else. So when I was a little girl, I had a butter obsession. I loved butter. And I was little too. I was like 4 or 5 years old, 5, 6 maybe. And somehow I found this big container of butter in our fridge. And I would open the fridge doors all by myself when no one was around. And I would like scale the fridge and like look for the butter. And I'd grab it and I'd sit on our tile floor. And I would just grab it by the handfuls and eat it. And my mom said she would like walk into the kitchen and she would just wipe out because I had gotten all the tile just greased over with butter. And so I'm greasy, the floor is greasy, my face is covered in butter chunks. And this continued, like it was like a literal like butter addiction for me. And my mom said, when you're little, they put like baby locks on like certain cabinets. So they had baby lock on like the chemical and the cleaning stuff. for the house. My mom had to literally take that lock off of the like chemical stuff and put it on the fridge because I just kept like when no one was around, like scaling our fridge and knocking things off for this butter. And the only thing that got me to stop was my mom decided to put a whole bunch of pepper in the butter and like mix it up. And I never wanted it after that. I don't know.
That's funny. 'Cause I still have a butter addiction.
Yeah, butter's the best.
Butter's the best,
I think it played
honestly.
a part in my blondness. I always tell my mom, like, I just ate so much butter that I'm just like, I look like butter. I don't know. I just blonde and whatever. I don't know.
Well,
But
well, is there anything else you think my listeners should know about you?
Well, one thing I think that they should know is if they follow me on social media at all, they are welcome to message me at any time with any questions, whether it be personal questions about my life or my story or my music, or if there's an artist that's listening to this or someone interested in music, I'm happy to answer any questions and give advice. And I think that's really important because when I was starting out in this career, it's people's advice that really helped me get to where I'm at today. So I like to do the same thing back. So I respond to messages, and I like to interact with people who want to ask questions. So,
Well, do you have a website or Facebook for my listeners who want to follow you?
I do, yeah. My website's KayleeKeller.com. And it's right like below. You can see my name. You spell it just like that, KayleeKeller.com. And then on my website, it has all my information as well as my social pages. And I have a Facebook and an Instagram and a Twitter that people can follow me at. So,
Well, maybe we can play Rosu Mania on Facebook because I'm also on Facebook.
yes. I don't know. I'm a little intimidated to play you. I need to practice first, and then we can. I practice up.
Mm-hmm. So, what is the one question that you think I forgot to ask you?
Well, I think your questions have been really great, and I can't think of
you.
one. But I would say I have a question for you.
Ooh.
I would say, so you don't like country music very much. Fine. But who is then your favorite musical artist?
Oh, that's a hard one.
It is, right?
I listen to these songs that's from a video game, and
Okay.
I don't know the person who made them.
Okay, so you
But whoever made them, shout
what's
out
your
to you.
favorite? What's the video game?
The video game is called Friday Night Funkin'.
Okay.
It's a really fun game. It's actually a beat game, and that's actually the game that got me into the beat stuff. So
All right.
funny thing, they actually started making games on Roblox about it. And they
Okay.
started doing stuff about it. That's why now Rosu Mania is now on Roblox.
Oh. All right. Well,
Because of
shout
the
out.
games.
I'm sure the person who made that music score is very appreciative of that.
Smart. Well, thank you, Kaylee, for being my special guest. Can you stick around for Math Corners?
For math? Okay, I'll stick around.